far from being abstract shapes and diagrams. The patterns of sacred geometry appear in the world around us, from the spiral arrangement of sunflower seeds to the molecular structure of crystals. Pythagoras thought that shapes and patterns could help us get to know the deep rules of the universe. He said the universe is like a big math puzzle, and you can use shapes and numbers to solve it. One of his most famous ideas is the Pythagorean theorem. This idea helps us understand right triangles, which are triangles that have one 90-degree angle. This theorem is not just a math rule, but also a big idea in sacred geometry, helping to build shapes. Pythagoras also thought that simple, perfect shapes like circles and squares were the universe's building blocks. He liked these shapes because they are simple and easy to understand if you know geometry. So, in simple words, Pythagoras believed that if you understand shapes, you can understand the universe. Geometric shapes and patterns are not confined to any one culture or period. Ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, Greeks, and Mayans, independently recognized the significance of geometric shapes like circles, triangles, and spirals. They incorporated these shapes into their architecture, artwork, and religious practices, not just because they were aesthetically pleasing, but because they believed these patterns had a deeper spiritual meaning. Leonardo da Vinci made a drawing showing that the human body fits perfectly inside both a square and a circle. He found that if you draw a line from your belly button to the side of the square around you, it will cross another line going from your foot to your fingertip. This crossing happens as a special ratio called the phi ratio. In simple terms, the phi ratio is a special number found all over the human body, and even in nature. For example, the length of your fingers, your arms, and even the distance between your eyes have this special ratio. It's like a pattern that repeats itself in many places. Interestingly, the phi ratio can even be found in babies. When they are born, their belly buttons are exactly in the center of their bodies. As they grow, this point moves a bit but still stays close to the phi ratio. This special ratio isn't just in humans, it's in buildings and pyramids too. For example, famous buildings like the Greek Parthenon and the Great Pyramid in Egypt also have this special ratio in their design. The Egyptians were masters of architecture and geometry, and their constructions often followed the principles of sacred geometry. The Great Pyramids of Giza, for example, are aligned with incredible precision to the cardinal points of the compass. The base of the Great Pyramid is a perfect square, and its dimensions exhibit the golden ratio. This was not just for aesthetic reasons. Egyptians believed that these shapes were divine and had the power to connect the earthly realm with the heavens. This ratio, often represented by the Greek letter phi, appears in the proportions of the human face, the arrangement of teeth, and even the proportions of DNA molecules. This is an evidence that there is a kind of geometric order to the living world, suggesting that these patterns aren't just designs, but are innate to our very biology. So the phi ratio is a universal pattern that you can find in the human body, in buildings, and even in the entire universe. It's like a code that everything follows, and it makes things work in a balanced and harmonious way. Many cultures attribute spiritual significance to basic geometric shapes, seeing them as representations of eternal truths. The circle often symbolizes unity or infinity, while the square represents stability and the material world. The dodecahedron, a 12-sided shape, was considered by Plato to represent the universe itself. Even religious symbols like the Christian cross, the Star of David, and the yin-yang are rooted in geometric principles. Historically, architecture and art have been primary vehicles for the expression of sacred geometry. Gothic cathedrals, Islamic mosaics, and Hindu temples are filled with geometric designs that serve both aesthetic and symbolic purposes. Modern architects and artists also make use of these principles. The work of Salvador Dali and M.C. Escher, for example, is deeply rooted in geometric concepts. Sacred geometry is not merely a theoretical subject. It has practical applications in daily life, just as Orion learned from Amen. The principles of sacred geometry can help create more ergonomic and efficient designs. For instance, the geodesic dome, based on the geometry of a icosahedron, is one of the strongest and most energy-efficient structures known. As we dig deeper into the secrets of sacred geometry, we start to see that it's not just about shapes and patterns. It's a strong way to feel more connected to something greater than us, like a higher force or the mysteries of the universe. This ancient knowledge talks to the very deep parts of who we are and asks us to go beyond the everyday world to understand our unlimited possibilities. By using the rules of sacred geometry in how we live every day, we can grow our sense of balance, peace and knowing. This helps us move through life's ups and downs with calm and smart choices. Simply being in the presence of these sacred geometrical shapes can induce a sense of profound inner calm. Mandalas, for instance, are often used in meditative practices to focus the mind and facilitate spiritual growth. The process of drawing or engaging with these designs can be a form of mindfulness, helping to alleviate stress, anxiety, and depression. Yoga is a time-honored way to bring together the body, mind, and soul. The careful way you position your body in yoga, the balance you feel, and the peaceful flow of the movements can all be seen as real-life examples of sacred geometry. They show the natural order and lovely patterns that are found in the universe itself. In some spiritual traditions, sacred geometric patterns are thought to influence the flow of energy. Designs like the Flower of Life or the Sri Yantra are often used in such practices to balance energy fields, clear blockages, and promote a sense of well-being. These patterns are sometimes incorporated into the layout of buildings, meditation rooms, or healing spaces to improve the flow of positive energy. Understanding the secrets of sacred geometry can unlock hidden capacities of the human brain. Wearing jewellery with geometric shapes inspired by sacred geometry is believed to offer a range of benefits that go beyond mere ornamentation. Such jewellery can make you feel more connected to the natural world, as these geometric patterns are abundant in nature. This connection can bring a sense of balance and harmony into your life, which is the essence of these perfectly proportioned shapes. Some even say that these designs can facilitate better flow of life force energy, commonly known as chi, based on the idea that energy moves more efficiently through balanced and harmonious forms. In addition to their metaphysical properties, each shape carries its own symbolic meaning. For example, circles often symbolize unity and completeness, while spirals can indicate growth and evolution. Sacred geometry is more than just a theoretical concept or artistic inspiration. It is a lens through which we can view the fundamental structure and interconnectedness of the universe. From the designs of ancient temples to the proportions of natural phenomena, the principles of sacred geometry remind us that underlying the complexity and diversity of life is a pattern, a sort of cosmic geometry.